Alright, well, good Monday. I'm sitting in a conference in Menasha, and I probably am not enjoying myself. So, but you're here. Many of you, I'm sure, are nervous about the ACT tomorrow. Let's try and alleviate some of that by going through some math problems. And I can show you how I would attack them if I were doing them. Now, the first one that I'd kind of like to look at is x is greater than 2, 2x squared plus 2x minus 12 divided by x minus 2 simplifies to what? Well, yep, this is a division problem. That's the first thing to realize here. You could do this polynomial division. You could do this synthetic division. I don't necessarily think either one of those is the easiest or the most expedient way to do this. I would look at each of those coefficients and notice that they all have a 2. So I could factor a 2 out. And then I've got x squared plus x minus 6 all over x minus 2. Well, that quadratic factors into 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 2, and that's all over x minus 2, but hey, look at that. We can make that the big giant one. Yeah, the big giant one. Okay, so our answer then is 2 times x plus 3. Okay. Now, the nice thing about factoring this out is that the answer they provide you with is 2 times, not x plus 3. Yeah, it should be 2 times x plus 3. 2 times x minus 2 is a choice. Don't fall into that trap, because you crossed that one out. You know that one's no good. There is also an x plus 3, and there's an x minus 2. Don't fall for that. Remember, we were simplifying this thing, so there had better be a 2 in your answer someplace, or a factor of 2. Both of those are gone, so now, believe it or not, that leaves it to 2 answers, and one is x plus 3 times x minus 2, and the other is 2 times x plus 3, which of course is the right one. Okay, so you can actually go through this one and probably eliminate some choices before you get to 2 times x plus 3. Now, the next one that we'd kind of like to take a look at is in the standard xy coordinate plane, the graph of x plus 3 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals 16 is a circle. And it says, what is the circumference of the circle expressed in coordinate units? Now, don't let the expressed in coordinate units throw you off. That just means that they don't have meters or inches or feet or miles or something like that. They're just units. Now, it says, what is the circumference? Remember, circumference is diameter times pi, or 2r pi, twice the radius times pi. This is a circle. Remember, circles are of the form, or have equations of the form, x squared plus y squared equals the radius squared. So if they tell you something is a circle, and there's a constant on one side of the equal sign, that's the radius squared. So r squared equals 16. Well, that means r is 4. So the circumference is 2 times 4 times pi, which is 8 pi. Okay? That is the answer. The hardest part here, I think, is probably realizing that That's the radius squared. 16 is radius squared. All right. Now, let's move on to the next problem. And this one is, how well do you know polynomials? X squared minus 7 equals 0. And they ask how many solutions. Alright, now remember that what we have here is we've got a polynomial set equal to 0, so almost what we're looking for are roots. And the number of roots equals the degree of the polynomial. And remember that the degree is the largest exponent. So this has 2 roots. Therefore, 2 solutions. Right. And I know, out there right now, Jose is thinking, but Mr. Hintz, what if it wasn't a 2? What if it was something else? Well, Jose, I'm here to tell you. If it was x to the 4th minus 7 equals 0, that largest exponent is 4. That means it's a 4th degree polynomial. There would be 4 roots. Okay, good. Alright, now let's take a look at another circle problem here. The 4th one we want to look at. It says that we have a circle with center 4, -5. And they say that it's tangent to the y-axis. Alright. And then they go through, and in the standard xy coordinate plane, and they ask, what's the radius of the circle? So they're asking you, what does tangent mean? Right? And let's think about, what does tangent? Right? That means that it intersects in one point. Right? Now, I'm going to attempt to draw this out, and it's going to look bad. Okay? But anyway, here's the 0.45. Okay, there's, my gosh. Nope, never mind. This is going horribly wrong. We'll just erase that, and we'll start over. Okay. Here's 4. Here's -5. There's the center of our circle. So let's say that I drew a circle like this. Okay, imagine that was a circle. Imagine this was the center. How far is it from that center to the y-axis? That would be 4 units. Therefore, the radius is 4. Okay, that's all they got after with that. Okay, they're trying to trip you out by saying that it's tangent to the y-axis. Oh, and just so you know, 5 is a choice, so they're trying to throw the y-axis in here and get you to realize that you need the distance from the y-axis, or you need the x-coordinate. Alright, so hopefully we're doing okay with this so far. We're going to take a look at one more before I upload this to YouTube. And the first one is that angle A is an acute angle, and the sine of angle A equals 11/14. and they say, or they want to know, what's the cosine of angle A? All right. Now, whenever you see the sine of an angle or a trig function of an angle, and they give you a fraction, okay? They gave you a fraction, and they asked for another one of the trig functions for this particular angle. Remember what the trig functions are. They are ratios of the lengths of sides of a triangle. So let's draw out a nice little triangle, okay? This isn't such a nice little triangle because I drew that side very crookedly. Here is angle A. Let's see, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Well, would you look at that? So, now, then what we have is the square root of 14 squared minus 11 squared. This is that side. So the cosine of angle A is going to be the adjacent, or the square root of 14 squared minus 11 squared over 14. Now, everyone, I'm sure, is all real excited and going, whoa, Mr. Hintz, let's get out our calculators and just crank that thing out and get a nice decimal. Well, I hate to tell you this, but all the answers are like 3 over 14, the square root of 3 over 14, 5 square roots of 3 over 14, the square root of 3 over 14, 5 over 14. They're looking for an answer. All the denominators are 14, so you're in good shape. Well, one's actually the square root of 14, and that one you should toss out right away. So let's take 14 squared, which hopefully is still 196. If you don't know that, this would be a good time to get out your calculator and pump these things in real fast. And 11 squared is 121, so we get the square root of 75. So our cosine function is really the square root of 75 over 14. Now, that was not one of the options. So what we need to do is we need to simplify that square root of 75. Let's remember that 75 is 25 times 3. And that's all over 14. Well, the square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 3 is the square root of 3, and that's all over 14. And that is the correct answer. Now, if you have time, another way you could do this is you could convert this to a decimal. You could put that in your calculator, convert it to a decimal, and then try. There are 5 there. You could convert each one of those to a decimal until you got the one that matched. You know, try and eliminate some. Like 3 over 14 is not going to equal 5 squares of 3 over 14. That's going to be over 1/2. Hopefully you realize that. Or hopefully you realize that the square root of 75 is a little more than 7 squared, but you know, it's actually more than 8 squared, but it's not quite 9 squared, so you're looking for something bigger than 1/2. Right? So things like 5 over 14 and 3 over 14 and the square root of 3 over 14 would go. Right? So that would get you down to 2, and one of them being the square root of 3. One of them that's wrong. That's just flat out wrong. Square root of 3 over 14. Okay. Different ways you could solve that. Alright. That's going to conclude it for this video, and we'll pick up the other one right away.